All right, so one thing I forgot to do at the beginning of this process, I didn't forget. I figured I could get away without draining it, but I need to drain it anyway, so I might as well do it now. I had to move my jack slightly over that's supporting the transmission. So I put these cinder blocks in, a couple of 2x4s, and jam them up to hold the transmission, keep the pressure off of it, so that I could drop my jack, slide it over a tiny bit, and then pump it back up. So in doing so, it gave me the opportunity to open up my drain plug, hopefully catch my fluid as it comes out without making too much of a giant mess. I should have done this at the very beginning. Yeah. All right, that's all it needed. There we go. Woo, that is some dark fluid. I can still see through it. It's still transparent, which that's a good thing. And the fill plug is on the other side. If I had taken it out, then this would have ran out really fast. This is drained out. I'm going to reinstall the plug temporarily. Okay, so the only thing holding the transmission in place right now is my pump jack and the very upper engine mount. It's actually called an engine mount in the manual. All right, I've tried everything I can. I've tried this C-clamp to press that bolt out. I cannot press it out. I can't extract it. It's just locked in there. So what I'm gonna do is attempt to pull this entire bracket off. But I've got one of the bolts off the bracket on the upper front, the hardest one to reach. I got it loose without it breaking, which was amazing. So I've got bracket bolt number 2. I've got to release these 2 bolts, and then hopefully the whole thing will come down. All right, so that's got all the bolts out. So that bracket is now loose. Bottle jack gets out of the way. There's a bracket that holds the muffler in place, and I've got to break it loose. That is the muffler bracket right there. I missed a bolt, people. Now let's see if it'll move a little bit more. This one is on the driver's side front. Facing the front is a long bolt. Got it. One last bolt. One washer right next to the drive shaft. The front drive shaft. Okay. not exactly how I wanted to do it. That's why you kind of want to have help when you do this. But oh my goodness, it's out. That was quite an ordeal. But it's out. And I guess that's all that matters. That is a lot of oil. It literally is just throwing oil like crazy in there and not doing very well. I don't hardly think, that almost looks like it's, yeah, that looks like it's messed up. I know that the spring that's supposed to catch that thing is way down here and it's supposed to be up there. So that's messed up. There's the clutch. It's crazy. And I've got rain coming in tomorrow. Look at that. That is messed up. The transmission is obviously out. We're looking at the clutch. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and remove these bolts. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts. It's interesting. It's got the original Toyota stamp right there. Late evening cup of coffee. Oh yeah. So this is besides the wear and tear on that clutch plate, the fact that it's basically gone, I still have the oil issue to contend with. So what's interesting about this is that even if I didn't have the oil leak from the rear main seal, I still had a clutch that was at the end of its lifespan and a clutch fork that was failing, and that actually might have been a result of so much oil in the system, so who knows. But regardless, that rear main seal inspired the disassembly of this thing, and then therefore showed me that the clutch itself was completely worn out. So and somehow I find that that's happened multiple times where you take one thing apart to fix it and you end up running into more issues that need to be addressed. Now, this is my flywheel, and we're going to be removing these 6 bolts here. That should pop right off. So these are 17 millimeter. Now I've got 2 bolts up here that are holding this plate in place. And look at all this oil in here. And you can see the oil around the rear main seal that's all popping out. Those 2 that are holding that rear plate on is 12 millimeter. Yep. Sweet. I need to pop this guy loose, and that is the rear main seal housing. I have this plastic piece that has a pin right here. The pin fits in there, and then that seals the bottom of this rear main seal housing. So these guys are 12 mil as well. Back behind here, there's a cavity where the bearing sits, and that cavity, it's suggested, and I've seen it plenty of times, it's a very successful way of extracting this. I do not have a bearing puller, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jam a bunch of white bread up inside that cavity and pound on it until it pushes the bearing out. And that's about as close as I can get with my plunger. I'm going to call it a plunger, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap tape around the end until I hit that exact same diameter. You don't want to lose any of the back pressure that you get by leaving a void here. It needs to fit as tight as you can get it to fit. So I'm going to wrap the end in tape, and that'll be my plunger. A little more. A little too much. Let's go like there. Oh, it's so close. One wind. Yep, that does it. The mice will eat what's left later tonight. And look at that. That's how you get it out. The bread compresses behind the bearing, and it just presses the bearing right out of the cavity. And a lot of times what they don't show is the cleanup. So basically all I have to do is just grab that plug out of there, and it should clean right up. Very cool. I am now going to attempt to pull the rear main seal. I believe that these two oil pan bolts also, yeah, actually I can see them in there. They do thread up into this housing. Ah, there we go. Cool. A little bit on the top. That'll break it loose. Yeah, no problem. There you go. That's the culprit. I think it's been leaking all along. Oof. And it is aluminum, so you need to be careful. You don't want to gouge this or cause any kind of problems. Basically, to pop him out, I had this upside down and just used screwdriver and hammer to hit one side and knocked the rear main seal out. So right now I'm just kind of trying to get that as clean as I can get it before I press the new seal in. That's about as good as it needs to get. So remember, the part that faces the engine needs to be this hollow. The part that faces you is this flat section. The Toyota part number is this 90311 80014, and that is an original Toyota part. It's not an aftermarket. If you'll notice, it does have this lip on the inside. That's your retainer edge. So that's where you want it to be. Nice and flat. Well, it says to press it in until it hits the retainer ring, which is down in there. It's interesting, it looks like it's not as thick as this one was. Yeah, it's not. These replacement rear main seals are thinner than the original. So I'm hoping that's going to be okay. I guess we'll see. So we need to clean off this old RTV from down here on the bottom. I think that's just about got this. Not yet. Almost. I'm going to take this guy. We're going to put him here. Just like so. And you need to make sure that you seat this gasket just right. Otherwise, I'm talking about this gasket, your rear main seal. Otherwise, it's not going to function properly. Just like that. Oh, nice. Very nice. I'm going to just leave those loose. Make sure my washers are in place. One 71010, and this is the bottom, what they call a dust seal. So it goes like that, and basically when you get everything together, that seals right in there. That's perfect. You definitely, when you do this, you want to get that new seal. So at this point, I'm going to reinstall my pilot bearing in here, and the way I'm going to do that is just get him positioned so he'll stay, and then just tap him in. Get him in there until he's tight. Just like that. And that's it. So, brand new rear main seal, the oil seal retainer gasket back behind here, and new pilot bearing. I'm going to say 13 pounds maybe torque on this. We're going to go like at a crisscross pattern. So there's 13 foot-pounds on that. And that's it for today. So this project is taking a while, but once it's done, it's going to be done right.